What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. And Bitcoin has finally broken $97,000, which is a golden pocket retracement that we've been looking at on the channel for quite some time. And it took a few weeks for us to get up here, but we have finally decided to come up and test these key levels of resistance. So in today's video, I want to give you guys an update. Are we about to see Bitcoin make its next leg to the upside, or are we going to be looking for a huge rejection here at this major level of resistance? I want to break down the key levels that I'm looking at, one more level of resistance above us, and what I'm expecting here generally as Bitcoin comes into this key level, guys. This is a major POC. This is a major golden pocket retracement, which does mean it could be strong resistance. However, if we break above this level, it could be sending Bitcoin upwards of 105,000 and potentially beyond. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump on into the charts. I'll show you guys the key levels, and we'll take a look at Market Cypher B and try to figure out where our next target is on Bitcoin. Let's get into it. So guys, here we are on the Bitcoin chart, and as you can see here, guys, obviously, if you follow along with the channel, as we were pushing down into our key level of support here between about $76,000 and $75,000, where we had our 786 Fibonacci retracement, a weekly naked point of control, we actually started to see that we got some very, very bullish signs down here. As the market was extremely scared coming down to these lower prices, we saw Bitcoin hitting key support with lower lows on our price action and higher lows on our momentum waves, not only on the daily, but also the 2-day time frame. This is very oftentimes a good sign for a bottom to be coming in for at least some kind of a retracement here on Bitcoin, and that full golden pocket retracement was sitting here at 97K. We've been calling it the road to 97K, and we have been looking at this in the Discord, guys, for quite some time. You can see here in a post from April 10th, overall, we have a daily bull div printing as we push into our 786 weekly naked point of control. If this 2-day bull div can print, we could see the continuation up for a bigger retracement over the medium term. We still need to break out of the macro trend line, and with all the crazy news, things can change quickly, but cautiously optimistic here, looking for the breakout of that trend line and the push into 97K. And here we are finally tapping into that exact level, which is our golden pocket retracement. And guys, this is not just a golden pocket retracement, but as you guys know, we have a ton of resistance up in here. We have a daily naked point of control, a monthly naked point of control, weekly and daily horizontal levels, which we just broke above. And then we have one more level of resistance sitting above us that I want to talk about today. And I want to stress, guys, how important this level of resistance is, because obviously, if we are going to be looking for lower highs and potential lower lows on Bitcoin, which I know nobody wants to talk about, but I am going to cover that in today's video. However, with this strong resistance, guys, the flip side of this coin is if we can get above this key level of resistance and start flipping this to support, I'm going to talk about exactly what I want to see up here to indicate that we will continue to the upside. But obviously, with strong resistance, we have to be looking for some kind of a rejection. But if we could get above this level, guys, and flip this resistance into support, like I said, this could open up the door for Bitcoin to come up to between $102,000 and $105,000. And then at that point, we could reassess the situation and see if we are actually ready to get our big move to the upside into new all-time highs. Now, I wouldn't necessarily expect that to happen right this second. I would at least expect some kind of cool off either from this level of resistance or some of these upper levels that we have. But let's go ahead and jump into our current chart here and take a look at what we got going on. So obviously, guys, as we have those daily bullish divergences below our major value area low of our macro range, which was sitting at about $91,000, we knew that if Bitcoin did get a retracement, it was going to get gravitated towards this volume profile, because Bitcoin is always seeking fair value, and our fair value very simply sits in between the value area low and the value area high of this major range. And if I take off some of this resistance, I can just kind of show this in terms of the volume profile, guys. Once you get above that value area low, that was a very, very bullish sign for Bitcoin, especially as we had our daily money flow crossing into the green, and the daily money flow always indicates the longer term trend. So even if we do get a correction here, guys, my sentiment remains the same as it has been for the past couple of weeks. If we could keep this money flow in the green, any pullbacks can be looked at as lackluster retracements for higher lows and potential higher highs to come. So this could be a very exciting level for Bitcoin, guys, even if we do get the rejection, as long as we're able to get back up and reclaim this POC, which again does sit at about 96,500 on top of the plethora of resistance we have in there. This is a major, major, major zone on Bitcoin, and the rejection that we do get here could tell us a lot about the future of Bitcoin here moving into the next couple of months. If we just get a pullback and then flip that level to support and get the bigger move up, this would be very bullish for Bitcoin in my opinion. And if we do get the retracements until this money flow on the daily crosses into the red, we can potentially look for those higher lows and higher highs on Bitcoin, which would be very, very nice to see finally after all that pain that we saw here, everybody thinking it was the bear market. It would be really nice for this to be the low and then just send us off into new all-time highs. Now we are going to be looking for shorts up in this zone, as we've been talking about for for the past couple of weeks here, guys, on our way up. If we come in here, biggest level of resistance on Bitcoin between about 95.5 and about $98,300. And I'm going to zoom in on this resistance and show you guys exactly what we're working with in here. But from a general standpoint, I do just want to show, guys, when we are inside these macro volume profiles, as long as we remain above this value area low, we could still have a bullish bias on Bitcoin, not even paying attention to the money flow in the green, but just inside our macro volume profile, as long as we stay above these value area lows. The first one does sit at about $91,000 in confluence with a CME gap and a daily naked point of control that we have down here. And this zone does still remain key support. We looked at this on our live stream a couple of days ago. This is still a key level of support, right? So if we do get the rejection from up in this zone, and like I said, we do have one more level up here at about $98,262, where we have that daily naked point of control as well as a daily horizontal level in perfect confluence. So we are 100% in our next major zone of resistance, guys. And like I said, we will be looking for shorts up in here in the premium Discord, because if we are even going to get a little bit of a pullback, we do want to capitalize on that move, whether we are looking for that correction just to bring us down and put in a higher low before continuing up, or if this is going to be a big macro lower high before coming in, losing our value area low, and potentially coming in for new lows on Bitcoin. But at this moment, guys, there really is no reason to be looking for that as long as we can remain above two key levels. Number one is going to be our previous value area low, which is the level I just mentioned, between about $91,800 and about $91,000. Again, we have the CME gap, the daily naked point of control, and our previous value area low. Now, our second major key level that I will be watching here on Bitcoin in case we do get a correction to the downside will be the current value area low of our macro range, which is sitting closer to about $89,500. And these are the same levels we looked at on our live stream the other day. If we pull up our lower range here, you can see between 89.5 and about 88.5, we do have the value area low of the range and our previous value area high sitting right in this zone. So this is also going to be a very key level that if we do get a bigger correction, we are definitely either going to want to hold the previous value area low right here, or if we break down a little bit lower, I would really want to stay above this zone, ending at about 88,500 in order to see the continuation of our higher lows and higher highs based off the daily money flow being in the green, giving us the anticipation that the trend will continue in a bullish manner. Now, as we push into this key level of resistance, guys, if you watched the live stream 2 days ago, you will know that I was actually anticipating this push to the upside by just simply looking at our market cipher B momentum waves. On the 8-hour, it did look like we wanted to print that green dot, and once we print that green dot, guys, I can never unsee these lower highs coming in on our momentum waves, indicating the formation of a potential bearish divergence. But if we're looking for a bearish divergence on market cipher B, obviously we're going to need that higher high on our price action. So by front running this bearish signal, we can actually front run the next move to the upside, and you can see we are now seeing that happen absolutely perfectly with that push into resistance, giving us the higher highs on our price action and the potential lower highs on our momentum waves. So this is going to be a big thing that I am looking at as we approach our next key level, which again does sit up here near this daily naked point of control, sitting at about $98,300. And we have kind of slammed through a lot of this resistance, guys, and this is really between the point of control and that daily naked point of control. And as we are chugging through this resistance, guys, our last level here is really sitting between the POC and the daily naked point of control, and that zone is really sitting between about 97.1, where we are right now, all the way up to $98,300. So this is going to be a big signal that I'm going to be looking at in order to indicate a potential pullback. And again, whether that's going to be for a higher low and a higher high, which would be the anticipation based off the daily money flow, but whether this winds up being the big golden pocket rejection for a lower high and a lower low, or if it's going to just be a pullback for that higher low, I am going to be looking at that as our next key level of resistance. So watching that between about 97 and 98.3 with that 8-hour bearish divergence. And locally up in here, guys, you can see that we do have a little bit of bearish divergence forming. We have higher highs on our price action, lower highs on our momentum waves into the beginning of that key zone of resistance. So again, this is going to be a huge level. And in the bearish case, this could be that macro lower high before we see macro lower lows. But my bias right now with that money flow is definitely going to remain bullish. So I will be treating those shorts as scalps until proven otherwise, especially if it does form above the POC. We have to understand, well, hey, if we do get above that POC and we put the bear divs in at that daily naked point of control, as we pull back, we want to make sure that we're not just going to come down and flip that POC to support, because again, if we're able to close multiple daily candles above about $97,000, the POC of our macro range, if we could really start to build some support up there, guys, it could potentially open the door to push up into our value area high, which does sit on the current range at about $105,000. And with the volume profiles, we like to keep it nice and simple. Get above the low. The next likely place place for price to go is going to be that POC, which is part of the reason why we were looking up here, and here we are at that point of control right now. So at the end of the day, this could get a little bit turbulent, but once we're able to get above that POC, as well as all the other resistance that we have there, flip it to support, the next likely place for price to go is probably going to be about $102,300 at our 786 retracement, and once we get above that, we will be looking for that volume profile to fill in full, giving us the full rotation up to the value area high. And we are absolutely right on track here. That road to 97K was long, but we finally came up and tapped that level. But I just want everybody to be careful here, as we are definitely at key resistance, and I will be looking for shorts up here. But generally, with our high time frame money flow starting to flip into the green, it does look like this could be the start of a massive move on Bitcoin, and it all relies on the reaction we get here at resistance. Now, one more thing I want to go over with you guys, which we have covered many times on the live stream, is going to be the major area of liquidity that we have sitting just above $100,000. If I pull up a higher time frame here, guys, I'll go ahead and hide some of our levels here just to clean up the chart. But if we do take a look here, you can see that we do have this wick sitting here at about $99,500. And if we pull up our liquidation heat maps, guys, we have been looking at this zone of liquidity starting at about $99,500, sitting right here between, I would call this between about $99,500 leading all the way into about $103,000, which again does bring you into that macro 786 at about $102,300. And then we also have our previous range value area high complement with that level. So I am going to be looking at price action here just to give you guys some of the next targets to the upside if we do flip that POC and see a big move to the upside. The next major areas of interest for me is going to be getting above that 98.3 level. Once we could get above there, we'll be above the point of control of the range, which is generally bullish. And if we could start sneaking up towards that area of liquidity, which we know acts as a magnet for price, and we could start cracking that 99.5 level, just understand all those liquidations sitting above could act as fuel to give us that big squeeze into our bigger level at about $105,000 between the 786 and our previous value area high sitting at $103,470. And just to be clear about that, that liquidity does lead us right into that zone at about $103K. So can we get rejections from where we are right now? Absolutely. That's why we're looking for shorts, but we don't know exactly what's going to happen here on price. So if we do push up, I want you guys to be aware of that $99,500 level where all that liquidity starts, because once we push into that liquidity, it could lead us all the way up into that value area high, which would be very nice to see. So don't be surprised if we are able to get above that $97,000 level, squeeze above 99.5. That is where we can see that big liquidation wick into our next key target to the upside. So right now, hyper locally, guys, $98,300 is where we have that next daily naked point of control, and that is really the last line of defense. If we do not reject there, guys, we might be able to push into that resistance and just see this volume profile fill. However, hopefully we could get a little bit of turbulence up here and catch some nice scalp shorts to the downside, and we'll have our fingers crossed that that is not the macro lower high for lower lows and just going to come in to put in the higher low, and then maybe we see a longer term kind of consolidation before continuing up to these higher prices. So guys, we're going to be looking for these shorts up here, but I just want you guys to have those next targets to the upside. Pay attention to 99,500 where we have the liquidity, and also pay attention to that value area high sitting between 102 and 103K. And then once we get up there, we can look towards the larger range value area high sitting around $105,000. Don't let the FOMO get into your head too much here. We are at key resistance, but it really nice to see this finally play out, as everybody was getting super bearish at that 786, but we saw those bull divs. We know how to read the charts, and here we are sitting at our target. So we'll see what happens here over the rest of the day if we could get some consolidation at these key levels. But fingers crossed for all this money flow to stay in the green and give us a bigger continuation up on Bitcoin and start getting this bull run back on the road. And if this is going to be the top, hopefully we could catch that short and enjoy those profits on the way back down, because the mafia makes money trading Bitcoin whether price goes up or down. That's the beauty of being a trader. But that's all I got for today's video. Just wanted to keep you guys updated here. That's all the time I got for this video. I'll see you in the next one. Frankie Candles out.
We go at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up. Yeah, maxed out.